Valentine's Day is often thought about chocolates and flowers and romantic love. What if we told you that there's so much more to love than that?
From the unconditional love of God to the love shared for family and friends, and even those who may not love us back. Today we're diving deep into what love really means.
Love is more than a feeling, it's an action, a commitment, and something that we are called to do daily. Let's talk about what it looks like. I'm Naty.
I'm Veda.
And we are here to thrive. Welcome to Thrive by the Rising Muse.
Today, we're bringing you a very special Valentine's episode all about love, but not just any love. We're talking about love in all its forms, starting with the most important one.
The love of God.
Yes.
Yes, it is. That's right. But we're also going to be talking about family love, love for friends, for our children, romantic love too.
Very little.
And one of the hardest parts, how to love others.
Lovable.
Or those who don't love us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So grab a drink, grab some coffee, chill, relax, and let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So let's start with what you just said, the foundation, which is God's love. This is the love of all loves. Romans 8:38 through 39 reminds us that nothing can separate us from his love.
Right.
How do we truly grasp and live in that?
I think in order to grasp and live in the love of God, we have to want to know God first.
You can't love somebody you don't know.
Right. Get to know him. Learn about him.
Yep.
Learn what he's about. Learn what he wants for us.
Right.
And learn about his unconditional love for us.
You know, one of the things that through my life, it was hard to appreciate the unconditional love of God was my lack of understanding of grace and mercy. And when I understood grace and mercy, that made me then appreciate and understand the unconditional love of God. Because, you know, we're sinners. And I was like, how can he love me? I've done A, B, and C. And when I understood that mercy is not getting the punishment that we deserve, and grace is him still loving us and being there for us when we don't deserve it. It was hard to understand, and it took me a lot of scripture reading and understanding how that works to understand, you know what? I need to forgive myself because he has already forgiven me. And I need to let it go and enjoy and receive that grace, that mercy, and that unconditional love.
Exactly.
So,
it was hard for me too. Coming from an abusive childhood, it was hard to see love. It was very hard to see it, even though my mother was loving, my relatives were loving everything. When you're hurt, when you're traumatized, it's very, very difficult.
And see, in part of our culture, it's performance love. You know, we're good to you if you have good grades and if you do what you're supposed to. When you're abused, you are trying to accommodate and calm the abuser by trying to do whatever, and that's performance. So when we're growing up and that's the love that we see around us, it's hard to understand that we don't need to perform for God. And especially when we are new to the faith, it's like we're trying to
be the best.
Love God when we can't outlove love itself. Right. And no matter how good we think we are, he's going to always be better, and we cannot give God.
Most definitely, because we're talking about performance-based acceptance.
Acceptance, right. It's not real love. Correct.
Okay. Is if I do something for you, it ought to make her happy.
Right.
Or if I do something for him, hopefully it'll make him happy and it'll make him love me.
Right. Right.
Okay. But there's a song that says you can't make them love you.
That's true.
If they don't.
If they do.
Okay.
Oh, I sure do.
The next love that we're talking about is love for family.
Ooh.
Yes. And I have found out over the years The love for family is not just through the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
The love for family comes with people who love you. You can trust them.
Mm-hmm.
They can trust you. Accountability to each other. I don't want a friend that's not going to hold me accountable. I don't even want a family member that's not going to hold me accountable, because too many of us have those yes people. And sometimes they just need to say no.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Those are the people that don't help you grow.
Right. And you know me, you look at me as like, what part of no don't you understand? The in or the okay, I'm just asking. Okay, I just asked a question.
And one of the things you said, it's the difference between the family we're born into versus the family we choose. So when we talk about the love of family, it also includes the family we choose, and that includes those friends that become family.
Right.
But the reality is family love can be both rewarding and challenging. But you know why? Because nobody can hurt you worse than somebody you love.
Like in 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7, it reminds us what love should look like. Okay? Love should be patient. Take a breath. Love should be kind, not easily angered. Okay? And we're not going to keep going because we don't want you to run off the road or turn off the TV. How do we reflect God's love in our family relationship?
Takes a lot of breathing.
Yes, a lot of breathing, a lot of sighing, and a lot of, ooh, Jesus.
And a lot of forgiveness, true forgiveness.
Lots of forgiveness.
Well, and one of the things, it's, how can I, not overlooking things because we need to hold people accountable, but you do have to forgive and look at the perspective of where that person's coming from. You know, one of the things that I see, and it's sad, and I understand that there's toxic relationships amongst family, but and some people have chosen to go no contact with their family members because they're toxic for whatever reason. Personally, I had a lot of struggles and issues with my mom for things that happened in my childhood. But when I was an adult and we started talking as not mother and daughter, but basically two women, and she started telling me some of the things that she went through as a child and that they were never processed because she was from a generation that we don't talk about that kind of stuff, and therapy is a bad word. That I understood not what she did, but where her mentality was. And I was able through that to forgive, let it go, and accept that there were things that she was going to say that I had to just ignore because it was not healthy counsel. Boundaries are very big with family because even though you might even live in the same house, you need to set boundaries. I tell the soon to be 4-year old, I need 5 minutes because sometimes I'm overwhelmed. And it's hard for him to give me those 5, but it's here, have this toy. I need 5 minutes.
Think about this. What if God say, I need 5 minutes?
Oh, we'd be in so much trouble.
Oh, we wouldn't be. We would not even be here.
But I'm not God. So I do need 5 minutes sometimes.
No, you're not. But God's love is the foundation of all love.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I think that when we can get into God's love, that foundation, you know what it's like? It's like building a house with no foundation.
That's true.
How can you have walls and no foundation? So we have to start with that agape love.
Yes.
We have to start with that love that reminds us that nothing can separate us from God's love. And we got to figure out how to grasp that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because that love, the word unconditional goes with that. Yes. If people don't like unconditional,
it's hard.
It is very hard. But when it's hard to love someone, we have to think back on how hard is it for God to love us. Lord, 2 of the loves fell off the wall.
Just one of them. It was self-love, the one that left. Because he's been trying to tell you, you cannot love anybody unless you love yourself.
That is true.
So self-love
Self-love.
is trying to say, you're talking about everybody's love, but you're not talking about me.
That's true. And a lot of times we give all of our energy to other people.
Yes.
And by the time we look at ourselves in the mirror, we have nothing left.
That is true.
We have nothing left.
That is true. And that's where boundaries also comes into play. Because you have to love yourself enough to say, I won't allow you to treat me this way. I won't allow you to do this to me.
I'm worth more.
I'm worth more. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's not ego. It's the fact that you have self-respect and love for yourself. This is where the whole example of the airplane comes into play. You put the mask on yourself because you can't help anybody unless you are safe yourself. Right. And when it comes to love, how are you going to show love when you don't understand love? When you don't love yourself, or you have not accepted the love of God to show you what love really is about, you can't love anybody. Not truly.
Not truly.
Mm-hmm.
Not truly. And another part of love for the family love, which is called familial love. Mm-hmm. You have to set boundaries.
Absolutely. Hey, yes, you do.
I've raised 2 children, and you have to set boundaries, because a child will definitely try to see how much they can get away with and how far they can.
Their job is to push boundaries.
Yeah.
And they're very good at it.
Sometimes they do it just a little too way over.
Oh, yeah. They're professionals at it.
And then the love of family. May have a bad relationship with mom and dad. If you're able, they're still here, at least clear the air. You may not ever sit together at the Thanksgiving table, right, or at the Christmas table, or at the 4th of July or Juneteenth barbecue. But you really need to clear the air, because people don't realize that when you have unforgiveness in your heart, do you know the blood flows from the heart to all parts of the body?
Yes.
So do you know if you have unforgiveness, it's going to flow to all parts of the body?
Yes, indeed.
That's it right there.
See, that's what you get for homeschooling science. That's what we were studying this week.
Yes, we were.
The circulatory system.
Yes, we were. Yes, we were with my family.
Yes. So what about love for friends?
Oh, yeah.
Well, friendships are such an important part of life. That's part of the family we pick. Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend loves at all times. What does biblical friendship look like?
To me, biblical friendship looks like when Moses couldn't hold his own arms up, and who came alongside of him? I think
Aaron?
His brother Aaron, Jacob, came to hold his arms up.
Yeah.
That's true friendship. That's true friendship.
I was thinking about when Lazarus died. And Jesus.
I was trying not to cry.
And Jesus, even though he had the full power to bring him back from the dead,
yes,
he cried because he was sad about it.
He did cry. And Lazarus' sisters didn't understand when they came and said, our brother's dead. You need to come. And Jesus wasn't moving as fast as they thought that he should. Right. They were not. And you can get frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
You can get frustrated. And I think it took Jesus a couple of days before he showed up on the scene.
I believe so.
Okay, and that was not CP time. That was Jesus time. That was JC time. Okay? Yeah. He knew what he was doing.
Yep.
And he knew what was going to happen when he arrived on the scene.
But he was still grieved by it.
He still grieved because Lazarus was a friend.
Right. And that's what I look as an example of a friend. A friend, like I said, to me, a real friend is a family that you pick or that God puts in your way. And is somebody that you're doing life with. Is somebody that you are loyal to.
True.
Is somebody that you can trust. Is someone that doesn't, and that I had to learn the hard way. Is somebody that helps you and brings you up instead of bringing you down. You know, the fact that you tell a friend the truth doesn't mean that they're going to be putting you down. You can tell, hey, you were wrong about this. But it's not the same as, throwing all your mistakes in your face and calling you names and telling you how terrible of a whatever you are.
Right.
It should be somebody who encourages you, who tries to bring you up, who, tries to see the best of you and encourage you to be better.
Yeah, the love of a good friend loves up.
Right, right, right.
Doesn't tear down.
Right. And a true friend is not jealous of your success or whatever is good happening in your life, even if they don't have it. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you.
And those are the kind of friends that are good for us. You need to have friends that are happy for your happiness.
Yes, absolutely.
So what are you so happy for? Why are you happy?
No.
You need friends that are happy for your happiness.
Right.
Your success, your joy, your blessings. Not jealous. Because that's not love. And
although we can have all kinds of friends, close friends, just like with a couple, you need to be equally yoked. That's my opinion. Because if a close friend is somebody who you're going to trust and you're probably going to ask for wise counsel. But if you are not equally yoked, that counsel might not be within the parameters of the Word of God. And it might not be good counsel.
It may not be wise.
It may, thank you.
So, how do we handle friendships that no longer serve us spiritually?
I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I have never had to deal with that. And I'll tell you why. God takes those people away from my life in a miraculous way that also I go, oh, where are you? Where did you go? I have never had to, my thought process will be, well, maybe that person I would try to, not be a friend or friendly, but maybe put more boundaries, because if you are putting me down or if you're not spiritually good for me, that's going to be a problem. But I've never had to deal with that. God just makes people disappear from my life. And they're fine, alive, and moving on in the world, but they're not in my life.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, they are alive and well. But God just moves them to other places and does stuff, or moves me somewhere else, and poof, they're gone.
But there's a difference in having friends.
Yeah.
Than having acquaintances.
Absolutely. You can't put everybody in the inside bucket.
People.
You do know a lot of people.
I looked on Facebook. I have 536.
I got 1,000 and something, but I don't know half of what people.
Right.
Yeah.
But my friend circle is very small.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that I trust, the ones that
Mine is even smaller than yours.
Yeah. Yeah, because she wears a t-shirt that says, I love crime shows and maybe 3 people.
I do.
And she means that. I know a lot of people. Being a former pastor's secretary and all that, I know a lot of people.
And she's a social butterfly.
So she claims. I didn't used to be a social butterfly. I was afraid of everybody. I didn't trust anybody.
So we crossed paths and reverted, because I used to be, as when I was younger, very outgoing, very talkative, and as life went by, that took that out of me. I can be friendly with anybody, and like my mama would say, I know how to behave in public. But to have a real intimate connection with someone, well, like I said, the circle is not this big.
Very, very small.
Yes.
I understand that. But as our children grow up, now everybody's Mason's friend. Okay? Yes. My friend. And that's the tough
Sometimes thing. It's my best friend.
Yeah. You have to teach them. Everybody's not your best friend.
Yes.
Okay? Mm-hmm. They're your friends. He's not going to learn about acquaintances until he grows up. So he's very friendly.
I was trying to teach him about strangers, and then he was at the supermarket. Is that a stranger? Is that a stranger?
I know. Teaching is not always easy, but I tell you, it could be funny.
It is hilarious.
It could really be funny, because he's in a buggy and he's going, is that a stranger? Is that a stranger? Is that a stranger? So, it's a process. Let's talk about more love for our children. Parental love is one of the most selfless forms. Just as God loves us, we are called to guide and nurture our children. And how do we balance discipline and love in a way that reflects God's heart?
I don't think discipline and love are separated, in my view. I think that just like God disciplines us because he loves us, I think we discipline our children because we love them.
Yeah.
You know, I became a mom very late in life. And I think that one of the things I did see, I've been in many management positions. And I saw children in a way because I was super old, but I was in a call center and I had like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. And I would not have wanted my child to behave the way those employees did. And I'm trying to teach my child not to be in that way. I want him to be, yes, independent, yes, advocate for his rights and whatever, but in a respectful way, and how to address issues and how to communicate his feelings and how to manage anger and situations. And when he doesn't, I mean, he's young, but at this point, we're starting to form some parts of discipline because you can tell where he can tell better. He knows better.
You know he knows what he's doing when you say something and he realizes that you mean it. He says, okay, okay, okay.
Or he says, I'm sorry, but he does not mean it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No. We passed, I'm sorry. But
I will tell you this. The love for a child, it's something, it's just too big. I have never experienced that, the love of someone so much, and if I put myself like, that's how God loves me. Even when I throw myself in the floor and throw a tantrum like the toddler does in the house.
He did it.
Yeah, like he did the other day, or when he was today swinging a snake and almost hit somebody, and I got to go, ah! But I still love him, and I would still put myself in front of him and a train, whatever. But and that's how God loves me, even when I do stupid. God still loves me that much, and even more because He is God. But I'm telling you, it blew my mind when I felt that love, because I had never experienced that in my, I've loved, spouse. I loved my mother. I have loved friends. The love for my child is, I can't even describe it.
That's why they come here as babies. Listen to me.
Yes.
Listen to me.
Yes.
It's a setup.
It is a setup.
They come as beautiful,
cute,
defenseless, helpless.
They smell
babies.
So good.
If they were born 13,
nobody would.
Do you understand?
We would be a small.
We would be a very small community.
Humanity might be low population.
But think about it. It's a setup. Oh, the baby girl we saw today in the nail shop.
Yes.
Oh, and she was so cute.
Yes.
But they grow up.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they grow up.
Yes, and they start talking back.
And see, you hooked then.
Oh, by then
you can't even change it. You just like, oh my God.
You want to kill him, but you still love him.
I didn't know he was gonna turn into this, but I'm already in love with you. So.
Right. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly. Yeah, and they smell so good, and then they don't smell good at all.
That's true, especially when you have a house full of boys. Smells like a locker room, and nobody played football today.
So, when, and I've asked this before, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. How can parents incorporate faith-based love in their parents?
For me, I had to learn God for myself.
Of course, yeah. Again, you can't give what you don't have. Yeah,
I had to know Him for myself, and it took a long time for me to realize that His love is better than the love that's down here on earth.
Absolutely, yeah.
And reading the Bible and seeing how much He loves us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He loves His children, all of us. He forgave us before we even existed. And a parent is supposed to love and forgive their children, right? Yes. No, yes, yes.
Oh,
yes.
I still don't have much of a problem because his issues are
He's
not
a
that
little
big.
tight.
Yeah.
Just keep living.
Oh, I know.
That love will be strained.
It'll
But
be
your
tested.
your relationship with God
Right.
is going to stand the test of time.
I'm sure it's going to be tested. The relationship is going to be tested. The love is going to be there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tested.
I think for me, in terms of, and I know even with doing the best that I can as a parent, everybody has to make their own decision at the end of the day. But if I would close my eyes and have a wish, I wish that somehow I could transmit to him the love that I have for God so that he could have it too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to, I take him to church. I'm teaching him to pray. I'm getting books for his age about God and how things happen. But I see the world and how the world is. And I see people who have grown in church that then have made other decisions. And that gives me, because I would love, and I think any parent that loves God might feel that way. That I would love for him to see that love of God and that the presence of God the way I see it. And I know I had to go through 7,000 things to get to this point, and probably God is going to allow him to go through 700 things for him to get there. But that's the thing for me is I I wish as a mom I could transmit that somehow.
You can.
Okay.
You show God's love to your child. You discipline him in love. Okay? You have to sit in time out. You did not obey what you were supposed to do.
Oh, I talked to him like he was a grown up.
And you're going to have to be in time out. Or you can't play with your toys, or you can't watch your shows or watch your tablet or whatever, because they have to learn.
Consequence.
If I have no consequence, a dangerous person is one who grows up with no consequence.
Absolutely.
That's a very dangerous person.
Absolutely. They think that they're entitled to the world, and the world's got to show them that that's not true.
The love of God, it comes through you to them. And what we want is for them to feel it and continue.
Continue.
The only thing that we can do is love God, love our children, teach them God's love, teach them God's way, teach them all the things that we need to teach them. And we have to trust that whether they look like it or not,
that the seeds are there.
The seed is there. The seed is there. Just like the planting that we've been doing.
I know, I'm so excited.
And after what? A couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's starting to sprout.
Starting to sprout. And that's how God's love is going to grow
in them.
That'll go through you, a spouse, maybe no spouse, but it comes from you and it's woven into them. Now, your children may not grow up and do anything that you taught them, but what? Helps you sleep at night to know I instill this in you.
Yeah.
Okay? I went to church with you. I didn't just drop you off and came back to pick you. I was there with you.
I prayed with you.
Prayed with you.
I taught you about the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that we can do is do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the Bible tells us to train up a child in the way they should go. When they are old, they will not depart.
But at some point, it's their choice.
It was hard for me to realize what that scripture meant because as a parent, you want them to grow up and but sometimes they grow up and they are like, pew.
Yeah, make other decisions.
So you have to be confident in your heart.
Yeah.
I gave them Jesus. I tried to be an example. I taught them. I've shown them. They may lose their mind for a few years or whatever, but they come back. And then we may or may not get to see them come back. But we have to trust that that seed is planted and it will grow.
Well, and the hope is, the same way that God pursued me until I surrendered.
That's true.
He's going to chase our children
because he's not going to force himself
absolutely.
on you.
That's a whole
The
nother
Bible
podcast.
says, and lo, I stand at the door and knock.
That's a whole nother podcast. And I actually want to do it because people have misunderstood the love of God and are trying to force God down people. And God is a gentleman. Jesus is a gentleman. He says, I knock on the door.
You open it up.
Right.
I'm not going to bust it.
Right. And people are trying to bust it in. So that's a whole nother conversation.
You invite me in, I'll sup with you. Right. You sup with me, you know? Yeah. But it is a continuous learning experience.
Yes, it is.
Okay? Continuous. All the next love is the romantic love.
You know more than me about that.
Now let's talk about romance. What does a God-centered relationship look like? Let me take you back.
Hey, I tried.
I had to clear my throat for this.
I tried.
There was a young man who thought he was in love with this girl. At her in elementary school, he was very mean.
He was mean.
He was mean.
I can see that.
But when we got to high school and he saw her again,
she had changed
his look was different. His look was different. And he started following. Now, grant you, he will deny this, okay? Deny the whole thing.
Yeah,
he kept following and following. And he was a good friend. He was very smart. At that time, we had newspapers. He would read the newspaper every day, so he knew what was going on in the world, all that stuff. But he didn't look the way that I thought he should look. Because at that time, I was going for looks. And when you are a teenager, you do not think about, as you get older, your looks will change.
Just a little bit.
Sometimes a little, sometimes drastic. We're here to tell the truth, okay? We're not even going to sugarcoat it. Because when I look at my wedding picture and look at us today, we're not that same slim couple. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We're not that same slim couple. That's why when you love someone, you have to love beyond their outer.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Because that could change at any time. Yeah. It could change by something bad happening. Yeah. You know?
Or aging or whatever.
And you know, you just don't have that same face.
Right. And if you have children, woman's body changes.
Woman's body changes.
Yeah.
And, you know, some women are blessed that they can have children, their body don't change. I don't know any like that, but I've heard of them. Okay.
Hey, even if they can still be smaller stuff, they exercise, their body's not the same. Yeah. Even if they still are fit and good, looking good and stuff, their body's not the same
the
anyway.
Body's still going
through
it
changes.
A change.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to say about romantic love, people think they're in love.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is, yes, they can be in lust, but they're also looking at what you look like. I love what you look like. My question is, will you still love me if I change what I look like? And I'm not talking about getting a facelift and getting cheekbones and a smaller nose and all this. I'm talking about life.
I'll give you a joke on that one. I was in college and I was working at a pizza place at the mall. And there was this little couple playing at the line. And the girl was real cute. And this, I mean, I don't know if they're together, but if they are, that's going to be adorable. He tells her, baby, you are my Barbie doll. And she looks at him and says, but what about if I change? What about if I get fat? And are you not going to love me? And he said to her, baby, then you'll be my Cabbage Patch.
Oh, whoa. See, that's my kind of man.
He said,
ride or die.
Yeah, he said, you won't be my Barbie doll, but you'll be my Cabbage Patch. I will never forget that. Yeah.
Yes. And see, back in the day, I was looking for a certain looking man.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I knew God back then.
Yeah.
Because he showed me that cute is not always best. And cuteness is not what's on the outside. What if a person is beautiful, flawless, handsome, but their heart is evil?
Been there, done that.
Okay? That's why God looks at our heart to know who we are, because we can put on makeup, clothes, cover up. But until a person knows who you really are, I feel this way. You take me at my best, take me at my worst. Yeah. If you can take me at my worst, then my best is great. Love needs to go deeper than hips.
Yes. Absolutely.
And thighs.
Yes.
And a small waist.
I never had one of those.
That's another podcast. Nice chest.
Yeah.
What happens if those are not the same way they used to look? Does the love leave?
Helena. She's a person in our church. When she would talk to us single women, she would tell us, "You guys are always looking bad and down to shorter guys." Why? Because some short guys are good of heart, and she was talking her husband of 30 some years. He's shorter than her. I can't tell the difference, but she said he's shorter. And he was like, and he's an amazing man, and we've been married all this time. You stop, discriminating against short guys. I always wanted to look up. I always said I wanted to look up, and in my relationships, I had people that I looked up physically, but they looked down at me not physically, but emotionally, and I admit part of the reason why my romantic relationships didn't succeed was because I was not healthy. And even though I did all the things, you know what I did? You know how people make a mess and they want God to bless their mess? That was me. I did not go into the relationship with someone who I was equally yoked, who had the values. I was I'm going to fix it. And I'm not God, I couldn't fix anybody. And I tried to, get people and get them saved, and we would pray together, but it was me trying to, since I was the head of the household financially, I was being the spiritual head of the household too. I was a mess. So I am happily single, plan to continue that way. But I admire what you have. Been married for 40 years. You guys are hilarious.
40 years, you gotta be hilarious.
Yeah, you guys are hilarious. You pretend fight or fight sometimes for real, but then you're funny even when you're fighting. So I admire what you have, and I'm okay that I don't have it because I know I don't know how to do it. I tried it, failed. I'm okay where I am.
Well, I'm thankful because back in the day, I was looking for a certain kind of man. Tall, dark, and handsome ladies is not always the way.
I had tall, dark, and handsome, and he was a butt.
Can you say?
I just said butt.
Okay, but
see, you said butt.
No, that not that way. What I'm saying is, ask God to show you a person's heart. Okay. Because they may be supermodel today, and a few years down the road, they're cooking what? Oatmeal in their grandmama's house dress.
Or in holy shirts.
I cannot believe you did.
In holy shirts.
Holy shirts.
Which are not faith-based shirts.
No, these are shirts with holes in them. My husband's retired, and
I poured them out there. Hey, you explained it. I just said it.
Sometimes, he'll put on a shirt that may have a hole here, a hole there, a hole under the arm or something. I don't see it. I just don't.
At this point, you don't.
I'm like, I know he can dress better when he needs to.
I was just sitting there the other day, and he lifted his arm, and it was like this much missing. I was like, huh? Lord have mercy.
Yep.
He had a holy shirt.
Yeah.
Now, for people who are single and are not in the covenant of marriage, how can they navigate love and relationships while honoring God.
Okay, talking about single people, which is, I want to finish the marriage.
Go ahead.
Do not be unequally yoked.
Again, I said that.
Okay, in the beginning, you believe one thing, they believe another thing, and I'm willing to make it work, and oh, I love you so much. And after a while,
unless somehow you get synchronized, it just doesn't work.
This is one of the best things that I did. And I knew that God was in my life. Looking back, God was in my life. I was dating my husband to be, did not know he was my husband to be. He was my best friend, but I didn't know that we were going to get married. And when we started getting closer, and I realized he wasn't baptized, and I just told him, hey, Grandma taught me this. I can't marry you. You're not baptized. You can't be unequally yoked. I know anything. This 19-year-old football player, I'm sitting on the front row with his mom, and he's getting baptized.
He went and got a host.
At 19. I mean, this man was serious. But there are a lot of women who are afraid to say, I don't want to be unequally yoked. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are afraid to be alone.
Well, and you have, I mean, and in your case, you actually had a good man that really loved God. He hadn't gotten baptized. But you also have to be careful of performance. People may do certain things just to get you.
Just to get me.
And it's not because their heart is actually in it.
True.
So that's part of the issue. You have to actually, even if the person hasn't gone through certain things, you knew his heart belonged to the Lord. So he just needed to do certain things, but his heart belonged to the Lord.
Yeah, he was a sweet person before he even went down in the water. I mean, he made me feel like he was my bodyguard. Nothing could happen to me.
You did marry tall and handsome. So you did get what you wanted.
Yeah, but I didn't realize it at the time.
But you did get it.
I did get it. And after 40 years and 2 children and 5 grandsons, these days I look at Daddy and say, God knew best. Because what I was trying to fight against, God was letting me know this is the best for you.
And that was my problem. I never asked, like I said, I wanted God to bless my mess. I made those choices. I didn't let God put somebody in me because I thought it was not going to happen. Easy way.
For those who are single?
Well, actually, I wanted to start with something for those who are single, since I'm single and I've been single and I've done some stupid stuff. I know that the world tells you to do certain things because if you don't test drive the car, you don't know if it drives well. I'm going to be honest. We are real here. But here's the thing. That's between you and God if you're going to test drive the car or not. However, if you are, I would recommend you don't. But if you are, please wait at least a year. Call me crazy. Why? Once you become one with one person, the emotions get clouded. Once your body starts feeling stuff, your brain gets your judgment gets clouded. I didn't even do that and I was dumb, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I can tell you that judgment gets clouded and you are not thinking straight because you think you're in love, but it's because you feel good and you're feeling stuff and your body is craving the other person, not your spirit, not your heart.
And a lot of times, the only voice you can hear is that craving voice.
Right. So I know, especially if you have already been in a relationship before and have done certain things, going into I'm grown now. I'm already divorced or whatever, and you're starting a new relationship, so you think it's okay. It doesn't matter. Obviously, the recommendations don't do it until you are under the covering of marriage. But if you are, again, that's between you and God. But make sure that you are solid in the relationship. If you are going to go that route, that I don't recommend, because your body clouds your brain. There's no ins or ifs about it, no way around it. Once you taste the apple, all you crave is apple pie. That's all I gotta say.
Ladies who are single,
Yeah.
you need to know you're worth it.
Yeah.
And worth it means worth a person who wants to spend time with you or have a relationship with you. If you don't let them know in the beginning, I know I'm worth it, they're going to let you know what you're going to settle for.
And haven't I heard somebody say, don't do wife duties when you don't have a paper? I don't know the phrase, but it's basically
There are a lot of people pretending or playing
marriage without the benefits, and playing wife and calling their boyfriends my husband. But if this man dies tomorrow, you don't get the benefits. You don't have his name. His bank account probably gonna go to his mama or his other children or whatever. Stop playing wife when you're not.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Self love is all. See, telling us again.
Self.
You have to have self love.
Self love.
Yeah.
If you don't love yourself, you will allow people to treat you in ways that you don't deserve to be treated.
And if somebody is not respecting your boundaries before marriage, what do you think they're going to respect it after marriage?
I got one thing to say.
You can
if
say,
you're with someone and you tell them what you're doing makes me feel this way or that way, not good, or what you're doing is hurting me, if that person cares about you, they will take steps to try to change. If the person is adamant about not changing, that's not love. Run. That's not love. That is not love. And I promise you, there is not a shortage of men. There is not a shortage of women. If that one is not for you, it's okay. There is someone out there for you. And I can testify, neither the ring or the ink in the paper changes anybody. You cannot change another human being. That's true. You can't even change your children. So what makes you think you're going to change another grown person? So if you think once we get married, he's going to change, and once we are in a family, have kids, he's going to change. No, nobody changes unless they actually want to. And the fact that you tell somebody, when you do this hurts me, you're too sensitive. Run. If we're talking about God's love, and if a man, and I'm obviously talking from the women's standpoint because I don't know anymore anything else, but if a man can be a head of household by loving you like Jesus loved the church, which is what he's called to do, then how is he going to be your spiritual guidance? He can't love you that way. I remember my daughter was 16. And it was watch night going into the new year, and she decided she wanted to get baptized again. She had been baptized like at 8 or 9. And her boyfriend came that night. He was with us. My husband went to her boyfriend and said, "Will you die for her?" And he looked at him like, "What are you talking about?" A 16-year-old? Yeah, 16-year-old. "Will you die for her?" He said, "You see that woman right there in the sweatsuit? I'll die for her. I need to know, will you die for my daughter?" And he had this puzzled look about him. We knew back then he was not the one, and thank God he was not the one. She's married to somebody that would die for her. She is married to someone. Oh, yeah, he would. And that was one of my prayers. Many prayers, but that was one. Yeah. The husband that she has, they're going on 10 years of marriage in a couple of months. Yeah, and he definitely would die for her. I don't have to ask him, will he die for her? I'm going to tell him, I know you're going to die for her. And he was like, yeah, mama, I will. Yes, I will. Okay, yeah, I have no questions about that. Yeah, and that's very important. Yeah. We're going to talk about the last love, and this is the hardest of them all. Loving others when they don't love you back. This is tough because Jesus tells us to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us in Matthew 5. So how do we love others when they don't love us back? We can love at a distance. If people, and not always you have to, it depends on the kind of love. Like people who've been romantically with me, I don't love them as a person, as a couple anymore. But I don't wish them ill. Any harm. I could love them in the love of God. Like, you hear somebody, well, what would you tell if you see an ex and you
who this new phone. If they need something, I would not go by myself. But if they have a, I don't know, a punch tired, I might send somebody to get them. I might not go. My point is, I don't hate them, and I don't hate them. I have forgiven them, and I love them in the love of God. I'm not, but I don't have
taken them back.
That's correct.
Okay. There are some people out there that no matter what you do, they're not going to love you.
Right.
They're just not.
Yeah.
And the thing about women is we're fixers.
Naturally.
We're trying to fix it. We're trying to, eventually they'll love me. Eventually. I can't live off of eventually because I'm worth being loved. All these love, self-love.
Familial love.
Hit the floor.
Familial.
Family love.
Yeah.
It's some family love that hit the floor and cannot be picked back up. Okay, but this is a part of self-love. You got to love yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you will allow people to walk all over you.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That is not good at all. There are some people, no matter what you do, how much you buy them, how nice you are to them, how well you cook, how good you look, they're just not going to love you. Okay? To me, that's a waste of time on your behalf. But if we don't know that we're worth it to be treated better than this, unfortunately, a lot of us settle, and that's not good. My mom said, if he's beating you when you're dating, believe me, when he gets that piece of paper with his last name attached to yours, he's going to beat you even more. We can't change that. We can't stop that. But I'm hoping that you love yourself enough to get away from that.
You can love people through the love of Christ, meaning you forgive them for what they did. You don't wish them ill, but you don't have to be in a relationship with them. Let there be a couple relationship, let there be a family relationship, whatever kind of relationship, friendship relationship. You can love them and wish them well and pray for them. You're in your house and I'm in mine.
This has been great.
This has been fun. And I hope you have enjoyed this conversation and have reflected on the different ways that we love and how can we grow in love through God's example of love.
Love isn't just about Valentine's Day, okay? It's about how we show up for each other every single day. Let's be intentional with our love.
Amen. And this Valentine's Day, let's not just celebrate love, let's live it out.
That's good.
I like that.
I like that.
Well, thank you for joining us on Thrive by the Rising Muse. We hope this episode has encouraged you to love deeper and more intentionally. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, follow us on social media. We are at the Rising Muse everywhere. We have added Fanbase and Substack. With Substack, we have some special stuff for members, but we also have a free subscription. So join us there. If you want to support us, this is a ministry. Please, you can support us by getting the subscription on Substack. It will help us a lot. And we are at the Rising Muse everywhere. Share with your friends, tell them about us, and keep coming back.
And before we go, if you're experiencing a mental health crisis, please dial 988. If someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, dial 911 or take them to the nearest emergency room. If you think you're in a domestic violence situation, now that's something that is really dear to my heart, and you need help, you need to call 800-799-7233 or text 887-888. Please make sure that you're in a safe place when you're reaching out for help. Thank you for listening, and until next time,
don't forget to thrive.
Don't forget to thrive.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.